Welcome back to Breaking Dawn. So, if you just joined us, you are kind of in time because we're discussing today in politics the issue between Public Protector Muslim Mkhwebane, who will be appearing before the North Gauteng High Court today to argue whether or not the president can delay an instruction from the Public Protector's office. And so we're joined by Mighty Jamie. And before the break, we were discussing something quite important about that's the process of governance, right? So once you get into office, you really shouldn't have any kind of distraction. Yesterday, I sent a tweet and I was saying some of the problems that we're faced with, we actually know how to solve, but you just don't implement the solutions.
Yeah.
And people started responding, somebody saying, maybe we should take a page from China's book, etc. And I was like, okay, if you take a page from China's book, are you willing to forfeit democracy?
Yes.
And I was very surprised that a lot of people were saying, actually, you know what? Yes, I am. It shouldn't be like that. You shouldn't have to forfeit democracy in order for the country to progress.
But I think it speaks to a desperation of so it is the idea that what is hindering us is this structure, right?
Yes.
And so if we get rid of the structure, maybe roads will get built, hospitals will work, police stations will have police vehicles, electricity will stay on, etc., etc. But it's actually not the structure, right? The structure itself is okay, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this democracy fatigue is really coming as a result of people watching this whole mess playing out, you know? So many commissions, so many factional disputes, and you see it across the world, right? That's why Bolsonaro was appealing to the Brazilians, because he was just like, listen, I'm going to bring back the army, we're going to bring you order, and the streets will be safe. And people were like, you know what, that's a good deal, we're voting for you. And democracy got a little bit weaker. And people look at presidents like Paul Kagame and they say, listen, Kigali is clean, the ANC is admiring, you know, Rwanda, and it's not as democratic as we are in South Africa. So maybe that's what we need. We need one guy who's honest, who's straight to the point, who's going to deal with all of the issues. And we have political characters in South Africa who fit that mold, right? Who are angry enough, who say, listen, I have all the answers, I can solve all of this stuff. And if we continue to have this factional mess, people are going to look at people with simple answers like, listen, we'll take back the land and I'll solve your problems. And that's going to look like it makes sense. And then they're going to say, this guy is strong, he's authoritative, and nobody's going to mess with him, so let's vote with him. So people who are concerned about any entities who may fit that particular subtweet, they need to actually be looking at how do we make sure that democracy remains credible. And that also requires a media that is not biased, because we begin to see like narratives in the media which are linear, which take sides, which create good guy versus bad guy narratives and force people to pick a camp. And that can't work, because for democracy to function properly, we need clear instruction, clear guidance, and clear information so that we can make good decisions. And right now, we're in the middle of a political mess. Whilst Eskom is failing, whilst the unemployment is going up, whilst our communities are not safe, and the hospitals don't deliver the services we need, and people have this real fatigue. That's why you got that response.
Here's my question now, to you and to you at home. How do we then hold the politicians accountable? We're not in the NEC meeting, for example, right, for the governing party. In fact, we're not in any meeting for any party. All we can do is vote, and once the guys in parliament, they start fighting oppositions like this, right? Even the issue of Minister Pravin Gordhan, or I guess any embattled minister, I always feel like a position in cabinet is not promised. So at the point where there's any kind of resistance and people are saying you should leave, just leave. Step down, regardless of whether you feel like you're innocent or not. Yeah. Just leave, because you serve for the public. So how do we then hold them accountable very quickly before we
look? I think you're absolutely right that people who are impugned in some way or another need to actually step aside. Their deputies run stuff so that they can clear their names without this kind of traction. But I think that people at home need to get more involved. Call those MPs, their numbers are on the websites. Harass them to get back to the work. We need to almost adopt what American civilians do and get civil society movements reignited. I'm talking about the ones like Fees Must Fall, like the Rhodes Reference List, where we can actually speak directly to power without these middlemen. And maybe students occupy an interesting position in that they can execute on that because they're in organized communities where they spend all their days thinking about these things.
Mighty Jamie, thank you very much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you. Tweet us your thoughts on 4-5 Mornings on the big political stories of the day. Don't forget the hashtag Breaking Dawn on 405.